Welcome into the Gatemen Postgame Show here on the Gatemen Baseball Network. Alongside me, Henrique DaMour and JD Raucci. I'm Cameron Stuart. An 8-6 victory for the Gatemen over the rival Bourne Braves tonight. A lot of offense coming in, but we'll get to that in a minute. There's a great start by Will Proctor, but things started to get a little hairy after that.
Yeah, Will Proctor turned in another great outing. He's become the number 2 guy in this rotation as far as I'm concerned, behind Ryan Garcia. Ken Waldachuk hit an innings limit, so he's gone, and he had been struggling in the middle part of the season, but bounced back very nicely. But the rotation is thinner and thinner. Bullpen days coming up, like we learned on the pregame show, and as well, like you said, Jared Horn, he came in and he started out the outing much like how I remembered it, and much like how we remembered him pitching in his previous outing. 7 strikeouts of 9 guys. He was absolutely awesome. But he got a couple quick strikeouts. His breaking ball was nasty as ever. And his fastball was being located well as well. But 5 unearned runs. The defense did not help him out. Isaac Collins had a tough pop up the field a few feet shy of the warning track. And he had his glove on it and just popped out. Tough one there. An error by Austin Shenton as well. Error by Ryan Kreidler, All 6 runs unearned, given up by the Gatemen pitching staff. But Horn, he was taken out of the game. Joey Barron, a solid inning and a third of work for him. Pair of strikeouts. And Pavin Parks, who has added a ton of value out of the bullpen. He has not given up a run earned or otherwise in his 6 1/3 innings of work. Maybe we see him in a closer role along with Ryan Stoudemire, but bottom line, he's been a short inning, late inning guy for the Gatemen so far this year, and I've been really, really impressed with what he has delivered from Kent State. He's been really awesome. He closed down the 9th inning. Granted, he had a really weak part of the order to work with, but you'll take it. And the momentum was all going in Bourne's favor, so for Pavin Parks to be able to come in and stop the bleeding, really, really awesome stuff. A complete day for the Gatemen, aside from the blip on Jared Horn, which, again, wasn't even totally his fault. Although there were a couple hard-hit balls, the defense should have backed him up a little more, but Gatemen walk away victors 8-6 and take a win into the matchup with Katua tomorrow.
So Pavin Parks finishes off the 5th save of the season for Gatemen pitching in 9 save opportunities. Jared Horn, as you mentioned, getting it a little hairy there, although not entirely his fault. But thankfully for the Gatemen, they had already put a big crooked number up there to keep that game safe.
Yeah, huge 6-run inning at one point for the Gatemen, and all but one Gateman today had a hit. Jacob Goldfarb was the only one not to get on. Everybody else had a hit. Drew Millas had 2. He was the only guy with multiple hits today. But really, I was impressed with what we saw from just about everybody in the lineup. As I said, everybody got on base, and I was looking for Lyle Lockhart and Pavin Parks to step up in the bottom part of that order. They both did. Lyle Lockhart had 2 hits. Pavin Parks with 1 of his own. They both put good wood on the ball. Austin Shenton, again, 2 RBIs. What else is new? He just delivers in every possible situation. Jeremy Idens kind of broke out of that. We don't have a lot of extra bases. We don't have a lot of extra base power. He broke out of it, roped the left, double down the left field line in that 6-run inning. And then Sahid Valenzuela followed suit with a double a couple of innings later. So the Gatemen really, tonight, what I was impressed by was, they went station to station. That's what we see. The Gatemen are not a team that is going to hit a lot of home runs. Only 11 home runs on the entire roster right now. But they are a team that's going to hit you a lot. They are going to get on a lot as well. A couple hit-by pitches, couple walks for the Gatemen today. So really everything was working for them. They got on base. They drove in runs when they needed to. And there was a little bit of extra base pop. I'd like to see a little bit more moving forward because you got teams like Chatham with Spencer Torkelson. And you got teams, like Katua with Michael Tolia and guys that can really hit bombs. And Chatham's even got the home run leader in Blake Sable with from out of USC, a former Gateman from last season. So there's a lot of teams with a lot of power that can turn the game in an instant. The Gatemen really don't have that right now, but the fact that they can pile on early and often is such an important part of this offense because without it, like we saw, the bullpen and the outfielders and the fielders in general, a little bit of a meltdown. So luckily, the Gatemen were able to, much like yesterday, jump on top of the lead early and get out in front of things. When they get out in front early, they put themselves in a good spot to win because not only does it take the pressure off the bullpen, but it also puts them in a good spot because if the bullpen does falter like it did today, they don't have to do too much in the later innings to try and make a comeback or tack on a couple of insurance runs. The Gatemen offense did just enough in the early part of the game before that meltdown, before the 5-run inning for the Bourne Braves. So they did just enough and ended up pulling out the 8-6 win.
So the Gatemen offense got the job done, and as JD mentioned, Drew Millas, the only man in the lineup with more than 1 hit. He got 2 on the day, and got his first Player of the Game honors of the season as he caught up with our Mary Orders after the game.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with tonight's Player of the Game, Drew Millas. Now, Drew, you went 2 for 3 with an RBI. What was working for you behind the plate today?
Behind the plate or at the plate? Yeah, at the plate. I was just seeing the ball well today. Got some working with Coach before the game, and it paid off. So, yep.
And what pitches were you seeing out there?
I saw a couple sliders, back foot, and saw a changeup that I finally laid off of. So, I mean, whenever I lay off changeups, I normally get positive at-bats, and it happened today. So.
And later in the game, you were in a weird little running thing in the field. Can you explain that a little bit?
There were a lot of flashing lights, a lot of people running around. I don't remember much.
You were breathing pretty hard after. Was it tough on the lungs?
Was it tough on the lungs? Not really. Was it tough on my heart that me and Paven both got out in the process? Yes, it was. And then I had to go catch, which didn't help much. But
yeah, and moving to behind the plate, you saw 4 different pitchers today. How do you change with guys coming in and out of the game?
I don't change much personally, but as far as like what the pitchers throw and what they like to throw, so I guess you could say my mentality changes, how I attack hitters, because I do call the games. But I mean, other than that, nothing much changes with my mechanics wise.
How does your mentality change? Like, could you give an example from one pitcher to the next?
Yeah, like Jared Horn, fastball guy, a lot of power in his fastball, has a heavy two-seam. So, I mean, we'll stick with that. A lot of the times he's like 96, 97. He can even get up there. And then like Joe Barron came in next and big slider and junk throwing guy. So he'll keep hitters off balance with that. So Jared will go at more hitters and Joe will pitch around and try to like finesse his way through the lineup.
Moving and looking forward to the rest of the season, what are some of your personal goals to finish out the summer and some of the team goals?
I mean, honestly, at this point, just winning. I'm a big competitor, and I truly believe, like, if I'm not doing well and the team's winning, then I'm not really that upset, honestly. But as far as, like, my hitting goes, I've been struggling, and I think I can turn it around just by having a positive mentality, like I said earlier. And if I can just keep that up, then it'll go positive from there.
Lastly, random question to finish the night. If you had a pony, what would you name it?
If I had a pony, oh gosh, I would name my pony Yachty.
That's the most creative one we've had so far.
You're welcome for that. You're welcome for that.
All right, Drew Millas, player of the game. Guys, back to you.
Go Gatemen.
Thank you to Mary and Drew for that. Once again, Gatemen victors 8-6 over the Bourne Braves tonight. But the team ahead of them in the Western Division, Hyannis Harbor Hawks, were 2-1 victors as well. So the Gatemen still 1 point behind. But luckily for them, they will be back home at here tomorrow where they have been so good all year.
Absolutely fantastic. Spillane Field has some sort of magic hold over this team. 12-4 on the season here at Spillane at home. And you talk about, or we hear a lot about home field advantage, but you figure in the Cape League, maybe that's not such the case. There are a lot of teams in the Cape League. Chatham specifically comes to mind when you think of teams that are not good at home. But the Gatemen really just perform much better in front of this crowd. They're still above 500 on the road. Don't get me wrong. They're a good team, home or road. But really, Spillane Field has been something special for this team. They have produced a lot more runs. They have scored at an abundant rate. And I think the pitching especially has been much, much better at home this season. We think of outings from Connor Lund, Joey Matulovic, the guys of that sort. Will Proctor has been fantastic at home the last 2 outings he's had against Falmouth and against Cotuit. So I've been impressed with what the Gatemen have done at home. They come back home again tomorrow. They can complete the season sweep at home, at least, of the Cotuit Kettleers tomorrow here at Spillane Field. Should be a good one in the West Division.
Kettleers had a tough night tonight, up 7-0 against those Chatham Anglers, would end up losing 10-9. Henrique, this is a team that's reeling coming in tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been that kind of year for Cotuit. It really has. They've been languishing around the bottom of the West Division standings, despite starting the year 6-3. The Gatemen started the season off 7-2. We talk about the hot start that they've gotten off to all year. The Cotuit really was doing well in the beginning of the season, but since then, I mean, it's not that it's that the Gatemen, or excuse me, the Kettleers, they can't hit. They hit in bunches, sort of like the Gatemen. They score in bunches, but not consistently. And their pitching just hasn't been as good as Wareham's to where they can bail them out if need be and to where they can tack on 1 or 2 insurance runs late. Cotuit will score 5 in the first and then nothing. That's what they did today, right? They scored 7 early on and then got jack squat from their offense the rest of the way. Their pitching has been on and off. Even John Baker, who we saw, I mean, he came in and he was awesome for Cotuit, but they released him because of an innings limit out of Ball State. So it's only going to be tougher sledding going forward for Cotuit, but the team behind them and team that's chasing them for that 4th playoff spot, the Bourne Braves, they were losers today as well. They've now lost 8 of their last 9. Tough sledding for Bourne, but Falmouth also losers. So the bottom of that division clumping together as Hyannis and Wareham continue to win. Falmouth, I think we could say, is maybe not a lock as the West Division is pretty crowded, but Falmouth looking better and better to secure that 3rd seed, maybe even a 2 if Wareham or Hyannis falters down the stretch. But it's going to be Cotuit and Bourne battling for that last playoff spot, absolutely. And with the bevy of home games, we should work to the Gatemen's benefit, like you said, JD. The bevy of Western Division games coming up here to close out the season. Going to be some really exciting baseball to be played here at Spillane.
So it's going to be a big one tomorrow. Cotuit coming in off that big blown game tonight, which they were up 7-0, and it's a team that the Gatemen have dominated against this year, have not lost to the Kettleers just yet. So they will be back in here at Spillane at 6:30 start time tomorrow. You can catch our pregame show on our YouTube channel beforehand. For JD Raucci and Henrique DaMour, I'm Cameron Stuart. That's all for us tonight.